And welcome to another episode of Funny Talk with Mangelli and Max. I'm Tom Mangelli, and this is my co-host Doug Max. Say hi, Doug.
Hi, Doug. Hi, Tom.
And we have a special guest tonight, the Steamroller of comedy, the none other than Rich. What's your name?
Carucci.
Rich Carucci. Let's hear it for Rich Carucci.
Hey, what's happening, guys? What's up?
How you doing?
A little laid up with the rotator cuff surgery. Knocked me out for a little bit.
Oh my God! I was going to ask you. Rich. I guess you did not know. I offer minor surgery for $129.
I would have took it.
If I'm really people that know me, I'm very mechanically minded. I was a licensed home improvement contractor. I've been working on old BMWs for the last 20 years. If there's a DIY video. Anyway, I don't like the sight of blood, so I wouldn't actually be looking, but Tom could say, Doug, you're about to hit a vein. And together we'd get it done. I have delicate hands, Rich. I hope you never learn that for yourself.
Well, you don't want me because I got rough. I got like Fred Flintstone hands. I'm like, they used to call me gorilla hands. I will destroy anything. Hold this, it's over. You know what I mean? Done.
You cannot be gorilla hands. That's Joe Conti.
That's Joe Conti.
That's Joe Conti's gorilla body. Yeah.
You can be steamroller fingers or something like that. I don't know. But the ladies, I think, would like that. If they
I'm the wrong guy.
If they found out you were the steamroller fingers of comedy, Rich, are you married? I'm sorry, you're not married.
Casually.
You're casually married. Okay.
We choose not to live together or anything. We different addresses. Nice, come over when you're happy. I want the best of you, not the rest of you type
Rich,
thing,
I've been doing that for the last 5 years, and I love it. I think I believe the time for that is drawing to an end, but we will see. Anyway, Tom.
Yes.
We would not be gabbing
if it were not for our sponsor, Jack Hoffman of J. Irwin Productions. If you want to, Jack, right? Everybody knows Jack.
Hey, don't say that. He's our guest. Don't say Jack. Rich is a guest on our show.
Oh no, I know Jack. Jack's great.
It's better than not knowing.
He
Jack.
was insulting you. He said you don't. You know Jack. That's an insult. Go on.
I got you.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So anyway, if you want to put together a comedy show for either a fundraiser or a private party or a restaurant showcase or even a corporate event, contact Jack at jirwinproductions.com. He's the guy to call. He knows all the comics in the North Jersey, New York area. He puts together great shows, and he's wonderful to work with. And as a comic, I've got a lot of respect for him. He's very forthright. He always takes care of his comics, and I can't say enough good things.
He's a big fan of comedy.
And
treats all of us great. Yep.
Absolutely.
He gives the best neck massages.
Oh, I haven't got that yet, but he does always offer to buy me dinner, and he has bought me dinner wherever we're at. And I'm like, I'm a comic. Are you kidding? That's like, I guess that's better than getting paid for the gig.
Hey, you know something, right? Rich? For all the comedy and entertainment you personally have given me, I would buy you dinner, and I would even order for you like a gentleman.
There you go. Wonderful.
The lady will have 3 White Castle, no pickle.
No pickle? Yeah, that's a good
deal. I don't think Rich or I have ever stopped at 3 White Castles.
I get the doubles. I don't go for the singles. Let's not mess around.
Yeah, really.
Throw in the dessert. I love the cheesecake with the chocolate on the stick. It's a good thing.
Listen, one thing about the double is it increases the flavor hole percentage through the whole thing, where all the flavor is. And those flavor holes.
I know you've always been a cake person, Rich.
Yeah, I like cake, but I do like White Castle. I used to eat them on the way to work. It'd be like 5 a.m, and I've just got like onions all over my shirt. I'm headed to work.
Hey guys, wait a minute, Tom. Would it be
Yeah.
unprofessional if I left you guys to talk on your own and
food?
trusted you? And then,
No,
because I got to get some more bourbon. Okay.
Yeah.
Prepare it. Yeah.
Or I'm
go
going to get dry.
no,
I haven't had enough today.
go
I'll be
ahead,
right
go
back.
get the-
Yeah.
go
You
get
always
the
say I
fry.
talk too much anyway. So
Mhm.
You do.
Bourbon is definitely one of my favorites too. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a White Castle guy. They're 24 hours.
Yeah.
There were times I was in there 3:30 in the morning holding up the wall, just tell my friends, let's stop at White Castle. I lived next door to one for a couple of years, and every night, you'd hear how loud it is. And then more than half the week, somebody would kick in my fence, throw shit in my yard. It was nuts. Fist fights outside the house. I'd find the fence on the highway on Route 46. I'm like, a couple of miles. Is that my fence? It's like laying on the highway. That people are animals. White Castle brings out the animal in people.
Oh, absolutely. I used to go to the one in Clifton all the time after the bars
Right.
closed. Yeah.
Right. That one you didn't cause problems at. But the one, because you get killed over there. But I used to go there when I was a kid. Then they opened the one on Route 3 or whatever that is, 17, Route 17. And that's the one where you go to, and everybody would be drunk. It's like 2 a.m. Now, you've been to the bars. Now everybody's drinking. They eat and they go, there's nothing left to do but fight. And they would start fight. People would be fighting all the time. It's like the white trash capital. That's like where the UFC started, in a freaking White Castle parking lot,
Yeah. It's
I mean,
it's as if Walmart actually closed at some point.
Mhm. And that was before Wawa, because people now go to Wawa as a big hangout too for
Right.
people, but they would be there, and you see more fights in those freaking White Castles and that's why people show the videos now of all the fights. Look at this in the airport. I'm like, shit, that's nothing. Like, I wish we had cameras back then. And they try to blame all these people. They're like, look, it's minorities. It's this. I'm like, dude, come on. You're just in the wrong place. It's everybody,
Yeah. Jersey does have the best fights, though. I used to teach in Patterson, and oh my God, the first time I saw a girl-on-girl fight, hair flying all over the place.
Yeah.
And it didn't belong to anybody.
oh, the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Women fights are the worst. I went to Hackensack. They were ruthless. They're bashing each other's head on the concrete, these women, over some stupid guy or something. But we don't want to get beat up by a woman. There's no winning that one.
No.
And the women nowadays, they ain't messing around. My wife's a professional bodybuilder. My friend, she's the #1 arm wrestler in New Jersey. She's a cop, man. They will fuck you up. Sorry. They will mess you up. Women will do that. You go to the gym, you see how they're lit. I'm using the weights. They pick them up. They're putting more weight on it than I'm using. I go, look at that. Like wow, what the, that's embarrassing.
They can be very intimidating. I remember early on in my comedy career, this woman, she was 6.5 feet tall, probably weighed about 300 pounds, but she was strong. Half black, half Cherokee. She was a small weapons training specialist for the U.S. Army.
Mm-hmm.
She came up to me after the show in the parking lot. She was a close friend of a close friend of mine. And she rubbed my head and said, "Oh, Dougie, I would rock your world."
Mm-hmm.
I was dumbfounded. I looked up at her and literally, and the wheels are, I had to think really hard, and I just looked at her and said, "I need to breathe." She chuckled, and we maintained our non-relationship. But
Wonder Woman cannot have relations with a normal human being. I don't think that was pretty much.
Now, Rich, you're familiar with the Hitching Post in Patterson? The strip club. They have a massage girl there. I don't know if she's still there, but they used to have a massage girl there who was a female bodybuilder, and man, she looks like she was Arnold Schwarzenegger's spawn or something.
Did they charge you extra, Tom?
That's so my wife looks like.
Extra? Sorry.
That's what my wife looks like. She's so jacked. It's
I met your wife several times.
Right, but you got to see what she's got. She looks tiny because she's short. She's one of the little short Italian Sicilians that should stay in Sicily. But when she is all muscle. She's jacked. I mean,
Next
it
time
looks
I
like
see her, she's got to flex for me.
it looks
Tom,
like I told her when we're messing around, it looks like I'm wrestling a guy and winning. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
no.
it's mad. She looks like
make a
she's
note. Make a
Yeah.
note. Don't offend her.
No.
Okay? Rich,
No.
Tom and I we've had to have some one-on-one talks about some of the things Tom blurts out, trying to
Yeah.
be funny, and he is funny, but
Yes.
not to the person he's being funny to.
Often inappropriate.
That's right.
And
But
it's totally unfair, but I understand why women and everybody is what's the word?
crazy.
Taught. No, caught. I was gonna say taught. High strung. Listen.
Hypersensitive.
Listen, yeah, but listen, blacks for some reason are hypersensitive about getting shot for no reason.
I don't
Right?
blame her.
Women don't like getting sexually assaulted, raped, that kind of thing for some reason. People don't
Yeah.
like being made fun of unless they're coming to a comedy
It
show.
depends who it is. You could tell when you're at a show. You could tell when there's those certain people, and you go, "All right, they're not to be messed with." I mean, I've been doing it long enough where you're like, "All right, that guy, you're just gonna let him. Like, you're not gonna say anything to him because it'll end bad." So
That's true. But you touched on something I want to mention. You said you've been in it for a long time, but not only have you been in it for the long haul, but you've done more shows per month than anybody I know.
I get carried away. Yeah,
You're like a crazy guy.
I know. I get carried away. I know. That's why I'm going nuts. April, I made it through the whole pandemic and everything, booking shows, 40 something shows at one place. I had like 20, 30 different venues, made it through the whole pandemic, get kicked out of one place by the police, another one. And then April 2nd, the day everything opens, I go in for surgery and now I'm been sidelined. And I go, this is ridiculous. You made it to all that. Now everything's open. Everyone's doing cool stuff. And you're sitting stuck at my wife's house.
What does not kill you makes you stronger.
I hope so.
The same
She
thing
might
happened
kill
to
me.
me. I was doing shows on a regular basis. Then I got COVID when everything opened up.
You look like you lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, I'm down about 40 pounds.
There you go. I got COVID too. I've had worse hangovers. I sat home for 15 days and smoked pot and watched TV, and my wife wouldn't come over. My son wouldn't come over. It was awesome.
You didn't call me, Rich. You know something? You don't know me that well. You could actually call me. You'd need some form of entertainment other than, your hand, like darts, billiards, bocce ball.
Right. I didn't even have real TV. I had the movie channel. So I'm actually watching Joe Willie Namath deteriorating in front of me. Like he's getting older by the second.
Oh, I know.
And I'm just like, my big hero though, growing up. Are you kidding? A CC Rider. He was in that movie. I mean, no one better.
Wait a minute.
Broadway
Who are
Joe.
you talking about?
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath?
The football player.
He was in TC.
He was in this movie, CC Rider. It was this biker movie.
And are you proud of what he's doing now?
Well, I think it was funny when he tried to get the sportscaster to make out with him. Listen, that's Joe Namath, sweetheart.
Oh, I don't know
about.
I'm talking about his.
Remember?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about his. I'm older than everybody. So
his Colonial Life Insurance that he's selling.
No, it's not. It's Medicare.
He may be using it soon.
It's Medicare. You might be entitled to $148 extra on your Social Security, dental, and blah blah blah. And listen, he's like right. It's really sad to see because I actually admired him and Tom Selleck, who's now
Tom Selleck's doing their first
I wouldn't be
mortgage
telling
thing,
you
right?
this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be telling you this if I thought it was a way to take away any from the senior. Where you begin in this? Why don't you begin with what you're talking about?
Yeah, as long as you die in the next 3 years after you join up, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Listen. I was looking for a segue, and I don't know if you guys know this, but you've been talking a lot about nearly dying and deathly ill and dying. And
We're at that age.
Listen, I want to pay tribute again. Within the last week, we lost someone in the comedy world dear to all of us.
Yes,
I know
I
it's
will
heartbreaking.
remember her.
I know it's hard. I
I
remember
think I
her
said Carla
comedy.
Bow.
I remember her comedy very fondly too, Tom. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss her. We actually went to the same university together. She's a year older than me, and just gone. Like she posted and said, "I'm going," and she left.
Of
Wow.
course, if you're not familiar, we're talking about the comic Joan Weissblatt.
The
I
late
saw that she
Joan
was quitting.
Weissblatt.
Yes, no, she's still alive, but I
What?
She's
think the
not
Carla
Wait.
Bow.
Oh,
she's
I
not
thought.
dead. She just quit comedy.
Oh, she posted, "I'm gone." I just assumed this was like her obituary.
Well, she was posting it posthumously from the grave. You've been
Well,
watching too many Hitchcocks.
you can't do it beforehand. You're living.
Mm. She had enough. It is a tough thing, man. It is really, between you have to be able to take no, even though people don't want it, but just, to be ignored. Just you can't be jealous of other people. It is a
Right.
lot on you. It is
Rich.
just it's like being in an
But
abusive
also,
relationship.
Also, as you get older, it's harder to keep up the stamina, and go up and down the stairs for the steps, and she's taking care of her mom, so it gets tough. When
She's
you
in
get up
good
there.
shape. It's us that aren't in good shape. She's
Yeah,
in
you can
great
say
shape.
that
I was
again.
gonna say, Tom, for stamina, I can hook you up.
Yeah. I have a couple of those pills lying around myself.
There was some comic who I don't know why I love this stupid comedy, but apparently Viagra is a very odd shape. It's not a square, whatever it is, and he had a hard time. He didn't want.
They had a
actually
hard
know
time.
who it was. He didn't want a whole. He wanted like a. I maybe he wanted a half or a third, but he wasn't able to divide it up with the razor blade. Okay.
Ah,
Yeah. Okay.
I got the
not very
knockoff
funny.
ones. But who doesn't want a whole one? I took two a couple of times at once, and that's bad. You start getting chest
Ooh.
pains.
Yeah, you don't
that's
want
not
to
a
do
good.
that.
I started with the 50 milligrams and talked my doctor into giving me the 100 milligrams, and I was doubling up on those. And I'm like, I realized I couldn't sleep one night.
Rich,
I took it later.
can I tell you a little secret about pleasing the ladies? So
I'm not worried about pleasing her.
no, well, this will surprise her. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
Sorry, no.
I didn't mean it that way. But it takes a lot less work on your part too. So you take the full.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen to me. You take the full Viagra, but then you put on 3 nicotine patches at the same time, and you wait a couple hours for them to all.
Yeah, I can understand that.
They'll be calling 911 for you.
And if you
do
need
a couple of bourbons first.
if she says, "I have to stop, Rich," you've got
we've
a
done
problem.
that.
You just say, "No, honey, I've got Parkinson's."
No, we've done that. I've had it where she's like, "That's enough." I like it because I'm at the age where if I have a heart, like if I get excited, by the time we're getting somewhere and get ready to do it, it's gone. It's like boom. If I take that, I could like peel a potato, cut onions, and I'm erect, and I'm just like running around the house, and I'm like, all right, it's there when I need it. You know what I mean? It's nice to have.
Someplace to hang your coat.
I didn't tell her I take it either. I swear to God, I only started taking it because we were like self-quarantining together. And I go, listen, if I got to put up with being with her all this time, I got to have to get something out of this. And I remember calling my doctor during the middle of the pandemic, and I had to tell my wife, I'm going in to get my heart checked. I'm not feeling well. And I knew she wouldn't come because you can't come in there for the corona. And I told my doctor, who's a female, I said, listen, you got to hook me up with some Viagra. She's like, you having problems? She goes, your wife's young and beautiful. I go, listen, I can't stand her. Okay. It's that I can't stand her. She's good looking and everything, but I hate her so much. I can't get her. So that's how I got him. And I don't tell her about it. I just take him like an hour before. And then, half the time I fall asleep and we don't do anything anyway. So
the end of that scene with the doctor. Oh, Mr. Carucci, I'm so sorry you feel that way. I've always been very attracted to you. Here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She's good looking.
Let me do some exams on you.
Oh, no way. She's a doctor. I'll leave my wife today. You know what I mean? Come on, doc. She got a condo with a pool. I know where she lives. Come on. Maybe you could secure my sleep apnea now.
It proves the point. If you want to make it in comedy, you gotta plan ahead. You need to be strategic.
Listen, I always say marry a nurse, okay? Because sooner or later you're gonna need one. Okay. We're comics. We don't have that kind of insurance. So marry a nurse.
Well, you mentioned condos. You were looking for a new place to stay a while back. I'm in that situation now, and the real estate market is incredibly. There's nothing available on the market anywhere.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You've tried my cooking. Do you really think $140 all inclusive a night is too much?
Doug,
I showed you where I'd put the tent and fill up the airbed.
That's good.
People already think you're my girlfriend.
You can have the utility sink. We'll schedule the bathroom. I'm not I'm not going to treat you like an animal.
Yeah, we have a pool and a pond.
Yeah, the pond's good. I rent a room now. I moved into a place. Johnny McCarthy's mother, the comic,
I love him.
Convict. Right.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, the unknown convict. His mother lives in Little Falls. She had to go. She's a tough woman. She broke her hip, got corona, all this, beat everything, and she's elderly, but she's in a place where they have to take care of her. So his nephew is in the apartment still, lives in the attic, and the mother lived on the bottom floor, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. So me and my son, I rented us 2 rooms there because all of a sudden he needed 2 roommates to split the rent because he was going to be stuck on it. So I rented 2 rooms there. My son never came, so I'm paying for his room that he never came, and I stayed there. Now I've been staying at my wife's since April 2nd because she needs to help me till I can drive and everything. But
let's call up your son. Yeah. How old is your son? Let's call him up.
He is 20. What is he? 22, 23. Oh, he's living with his girlfriend.
I'm at 20. My sons are 26 and 28, Rich. I was gonna, listen, if you ever listen to Car Talk, they would call up your son and say, "What's the deal? Chip, are you working? Chip in. What has your dad done for you?"
This is the kicker. This is the kicker. When I moved, he moved in with his girlfriend instead of coming with me, telling me he was coming with me the whole time. The last week he went to go look at a house 2 blocks away from where I'm living in Little Falls. I said, "Why don't you just take this house?" He goes, "I don't want to have a roommate." Really? You don't want to have a roommate? I'm ready to kill him. But I think I got somebody moving in. I rented it.
Rich,
There's a ventriloquist I know.
Honestly, though, with kids, and this is kind of serious. So my brother-in-law is a PhD MD. He's a professor in the Stanford Medical School, very smart guy. He read an article that said that the kids today, you're 22, my 26, Tom's whatever he is, they grew up in a very odd period. And, through 9/11, we mollycoddled them. And we just did that anyway. Whatever's wrong with us as parents, the kids got something from it. And as a result, their emotional intelligence and their ability to handle things that you think are normal, things that you could handle at that age, they don't have it. My wife, my ex-wife would not let my kids mow the lawn. They have friends, they have homework to do. So anyway, the things that I did as a kid growing up, they didn't have to do. So their emotional intelligence, they say the brain does not fully mature until they're 25. So your son has hope. And then with Tom, with the Mangelis, it's 57.
Yeah.
Your brain is never going to mature, Tom.
My son had a blast My son had a blast growing up because I had him full time since his mother passed away. So I'm on the road doing comedy, and I come home. He's got some stripper living at the house. You know what I mean? He's having wild parties. Cops are coming. I mean, he had people living there. Every time I leave, he had 3 different girls living at our house when he was living with me.
Stripper? I don't even know her.
Right. I didn't even know she was a stripper. He kept telling me he'd bring girls over. He's like, "Isn't she hot?" I go, "Hot? Dude, she's 12. We're all going to jail." He's like, "No, Dad, that's what 20 looks like."
She's a friend of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, is somebody proofing these girls? I mean, I don't want to go to jail for this shit.
He tried to convince you she was Polish.
Well, they were not little cute little girls, and they're dancing in Patterson. I'm like, oh, that's
I used
gonna have to-
I used to teach high school in Patterson, and every time I went into a strip club, I was young back then. I was afraid of running into a student. And
yeah.
it turned out, one of the students I had in my PowerPoint class, she was a stripper.
Of course.
And, she proved it. She got a new tattoo near her coochie, and she showed me in class.
All
What
right.
did it say?
Teacher's pet.
Yeah.
That's
So,
great. That's
Tom,
great.
Tom,
Yes.
did you ever try stripping in Patterson?
I stripped floors one summer.
Oh. So listen, Rich,
Yes.
well, maybe we should talk the ethics of this. So do you believe if somebody writes something on Facebook publicly that it's public and fair to be talked
Yeah.
about?
Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah. Fair game.
I write horrible stuff. I'm actually banned from Twitter right now, and I just came back from Facebook from like a 30-day or 40-day.
Really?
You know.
What did you-
I
Well,
put horrendous stuff.
I don't want to
Horrendous
distract.
stuff.
I don't want to distract, but I thought, I joke about it, but I believe honest comedy is the best comedy. So
Yeah, absolutely,
we were
absolutely.
talking about the late Joan Weisblatt.
Stop saying that. People are going to believe you.
Yeah, God forbid something happens to her. They're going to
Yeah.
complain to you. He killed her.
She's not dead to the comedy world. She's available
hiding.
for Zoom shows. So we
Okay.
should get her back on to find out what it's like seeing the light. Anyway, Rich,
what?
I read Facebook a lot more than I should. And you posted, quote, I think I hate comedy. The business of comedy. You hate the business. And I totally
Hate it.
understand that. And I'm not in the business. I'm only a comedian. I don't have an involvement in the business. And I know the business is horrible.
It's horrible.
And going further, you basically said something along the lines of you were right behind her. And listen,
Right.
Tom made a big thing about quitting comedy. I've not quit yet. I've been very depressed and turned off by it. I didn't publicly announce because I was feeling it right after Tom did it. Tom announced he was giving up comedy. He got 20 bookings in a day. And I'm like, fuck. And then I can't give up comedy. He just fucking gave up comedy. People think I'm pulling myself up on his bootstraps.
Copycat.
I had half a dozen people try to talk me into it. Yeah, you should quit. You suck. Right?
Listen, can I tell you? I bet you'll think those are your real friends that have your best interests at heart.
Oh, absolutely.
But they don't know. But I bet they're not comics who don't know what it's like to feel, to feel what you feel when you. I remember
I don't
that
know.
time still. It was April 19th. I'm coming up. The time I got a laugh.
There you go. All right.
What year was that, Tom? You wrote it.
19. No, it was 2010.
I hate the bit. It's like being involved in and I have been in these, just a destructive, abusive relationship. That's what comedy is like. Being in love with a crazy, abusive woman. She's never going to love you. You're going to do everything you can do to make her happy. Kiss her ass, leave one day, come back, spend all your money on her, treat her like gold, and she's still going to screw all your friends and destroy your life and possibly wind up in jail. That's how comedy is. Except two people that I know.
You forgot lie to you and ostensibly steal thousands of dollars under a false premise.
Right. Pretend she's your best friend. Just definitely
and gaslight you.
Waste your time. It's just, absolutely. I say abusive relationship. Just totally, it ain't never going to happen.
But you're being so negative about it. The positive side of it is that's exactly where the best comedy comes from, the trauma. And if your life is reasonably stable, Rich, you had a very good job. You worked, I don't know how many years you've been in it.
26 there, and 20 years in comedy, over 20 years in comedy.
Nice.
But
Well,
believe me, it's terrible. It is. My life has been rough. I'm 57. I rent a room in a house. I have a 30-year-old roommate that lives in the attic. I don't even know what his name is.
How much have you paid for psychologists over the years? Instead, people have been giving you, instead, you complain, people have been giving you $5, $10, $30 to drive hours, wait for hours to perform for 10, 20, 30 minutes.
Well,
I know,
Doug,
sometimes they throw in chicken wings too.
Yeah. Not for anything, but I think Rich is past that point where they're throwing $30 at him for a gig.
Why? Who's paying? No shit. There's money involved. Where are we going?
It's painting. It's like my bathroom painting.
You would think so. But I'm
ceiling.
not against. It depends. I like to perform, so believe me, I go all over the place, and listen. I could never live on comedy money. If I did, I would be like 117 pounds, which it's just.
I may be 117 pounds soon because I'm losing my job because they're selling the company. And I'm forced into an apartment that I can't afford. I can't afford now that I'm working full time, and I don't know what's going to happen when the sale.
You got to get in one of them. You got to get in one of them storage units or refuse to go, and then they sell you to somebody who comes there, and they go, "You get everything that's in a locker," and it's you and like a guy from Quiet Riot living in there. You know what I mean?
No,
you're upstairs roommate.
No, what it's going to be. Here's the scene in my backyard. I'm barbecuing. I'm making hamburgers. Dave, would you like another burger? Yeah, Doug, thanks. A thigh, anyone? Chicken thigh? Oh yeah, I'd love one. Doug, what's that? What's that in the middle of the backyard? Is that an elephant seal? No, this is New Jersey. That's my friend Tom. He's getting some sun.
Push him back in. He looks like he needs water. No, but I actually think I just rented my son's room to this ventriloquist from he lives up in Albany. Jake Lamont, nice kid, and his Louis is his dummy. I met the kid a while ago. He's a big Otto and George fan. This kid dropped out of high school to be a ventriloquist.
Oh, that's a good move.
Like the dummy couldn't talk him out of it. You know what I mean?
So can I ask you, when you were interviewing him as a potential roommate, did it make it sound? Did he make it sound like his voice was right next to you?
Interview him. He mentioned he was interested. There's no interview. Do you have $500? Yeah, it's yours. Yeah, really? We don't do an interview. Yeah, we don't. Furnished and everything. Don't bring anything. Bring the dummy.
He convinced Rich that the dummy was going to be chipping in on the rent.
You know what? I'm the dummy chipping in. I'm paying 2/3. The kid in the attic's loving it. I haven't been there in a month. He's got his own place. It's funny because all I use is the room. I put my couch in the living room, and there's a couch next to a couch because all I own is a couch, nothing else. So I brought the couch. And then I just bought a bed. So I have a bed and a couch there. And all I have there, it's like a retirement home for old dudes. All I got is beer, Jameson, and cigarettes there and a little marijuana. And that's it. I don't keep any food, nothing. And that's it. That's all that's there.
Well, I'm glad you have the essentials, though. But I'm not a Scotch. I'm a bourbon. I can't do a Scotch.
I'm not picky. I could, but I can't. Like, I'm at my wife's house now. And I'm not allowed to drink and smoke and stuff here. Like I can't have any cigarettes. I can't really drink, no smoking pot, nothing. I could vape, I guess, but she's a body, but she goes to bed 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock, we have to all lock up and go to bed because it's time for her to get her sleep.
My son has been visiting.
Oh, your son is? How old is he?
He's been visiting from Oregon. He's 26.
Okay.
So I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock because of my back pain. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's in the hips. I don't know what it is. I'm hunting it down, but it's horrible. And I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock. I wake up at 4:30 today. I had a good day. I woke up at 6:30. He goes to bed probably 1 or 2, which is early for him on Oregon time still. He's waking up at 11:30. I see him for 15 minutes. He's been with me a week. We've had 17 minutes of conversation. I've got him on a clock.
All right.
It's nice having him close by. Really
Why don't you go for massage or something for your back? Or my landlord, the last place I had, he had this thing that you put your legs in and you hang upside down. I couldn't do it. I tried it once. I almost fell through the thing. But he had this thing and he said it's great for his back.
I actually have that. And you made me remember one of my favorite stories, true stories. I was performing in Ocean City with a sociopath headliner comic.
I used to book that room.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. That was
So
mine.
Anyway.
He got it through me somehow, but
he's like, I want to go for breakfast. Where do you want to go? To what was the place? Golden Corral.
Okay.
Fucking state. It took us 45 minutes to drive to another fucking state.
Really?
I'd never been to Golden Corral. I'm a Jew from, North New Jersey.
Waffle House wasn't good enough for him?
He dragged me to that place too, and it was disgusting. It was the first time I was there.
No, disgusting was the bathroom that had been attacked by colitis. Anyway.
Oh.
So after Golden Corral, we go to this mall that's nearby. He wants to get a massage. So he goes to get a massage in this mall. And I'm walking through the mall and I notice a Victoria's Secret and I'm looking around and I see a bank of massage chairs. I've never been in one. Black leather massage chair.
Yeah, I've seen those in the malls.
It beckoned to me. So it said, come over. I'll give you a good time. Slip $1 in me. Anyway, I'm doing shtick. I put $1 in and it's massaging me and it's rolling up and down my back and up and down my thighs. And I'm like, this is great. And then it locks. It has these clamps that lock my calves. And I'm like, oh my God, this is really tight. I hope this is working the right way. I can't get out of this chair.
Oh, look, a fire. Now I'm stuck.
The next thing that happened, Rich, there was a pole, a cylinder about 2 inches in diameter. I'm estimating, comes up directly underneath my butthole from the bottom of the chair, and it's coming up and up, and I'm like witnessing this in slow motion. I'm clamped in this chair and a metal rod is coming. Maybe I wasn't the right size for the chair, but
So is that
it's
when you
coming and I'm thinking, oh my God, my sons are going to hear, we'll tell you what happened. It's to your
Is that when
dad.
you put the other $1 in?
Yeah, give the tip. I'm like, wow, this sounds great. How much is it?
I could never fit in those chairs. I don't have calves. I have cows.
I'm like, this all happened in 2 seconds as the rod is slowly going up. And I'm thinking ripped anus, rectum, I guess. I don't know. I don't know the parts of or ripped pants. Would it stop at some point? How tall? Anyway, I already realized this is obviously not right because they wouldn't design a chair to impale somebody that way.
Well, it depends who it is, but yeah.
Yeah, old Jews do not sit.
Wow.
Rectum, I didn't even know him.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I told that story as an accompaniment to the 6'6" tall woman that came. I said I was walking in a mall and I saw this 5 foot tall, half Japanese, half black woman beckoning, or half black beckoning me. It was a massage chair, kind of lame, but that's.
See, I'm less apt to at my age now. I'm not like I was. Like I would try that, or like these wild rides, or these roller coasters, or dive off of this into the water, swing on this. I'm good. I am good.
Rich,
I am good. I will take a photo for
Rich, you know something? You, me, and Tom, we're going to this mall. It's in Delaware. I'm bringing a stack of ones, and
we're gonna take care of the chair.
You. Listen, clearly I made it out alive from that chair.
Yeah, it's the most action that I've had in a while. I don't know.
This was years ago. The doctor says it'll heal.
Eventually.
Oh man.
Yeah, no.
How
I
many
just,
times? How many times have you wanted to give up comedy, Rich, in your career?
Listen, I've probably wanted to quit. I'd say, I don't know, I went a million times. Is that it? Like, I get so sick of the business part because I do a lot of the business part as well as the performing. And it just makes me, but you gotta keep it in perspective. There's enough for everybody. Don't worry what other people are doing because there's people that seem to just be lucky and fall and just, but it's smoke and mirrors. It's just, you're the only one holding yourself back.
You know what
Basically, in this
else? You know
business.
what else really helps
Yeah.
in this business? I've learned
Cocaine will
Beauty.
get you a lot of stuff.
beauty,
Yeah.
a lovely figure, and a ukulele.
And if you're willing to put out, that's also, but no, definitely young, good looking. Comedy's changing a lot. And if you have a lot of friends that were willing to come out and see you, so I wait till I owe people money or they want me to get them drugs or something or anything I can, and I make them meet me at the clubs. I go, yeah, meet me here, and that's how I swear to God, I do it all the time, and that's how I get people to shows. I just go, yeah, I got that, or I got your money, or whatever.
I know you're not involved directly anymore with Club Flamingo, but I saw somewhere that it's changing the night that it's going to be.
Yes, we had a great closing night. Saturday was awesome. There were a biker gang there, some Latino biker gang, and then Mario Gentile goes up and, hey, what are you guys, the Puerto Ricans, Hells Angels? I'm like, shut up.
Oh
But,
man,
it was good. We had a nice. We had an audience, and we had a lot of comics that were booked, and then more came to support, and we wound up hanging out till like 1 a.m. afterwards because the dancers come out and the music's playing, and we moved to Thursdays now, but the Saturday was a great way to go out on Saturday. It was a great time.
Now, what
42
time?
weeks in a row. 42 weeks in a row we did it.
Wow. And you did it through like the height of the shutdown.
When everything was illegal, yes, we were illegally out there. They had dancers out. Like I kept saying, Corona's the least of your worries here. Look at this filthy. You know what I love about that place? Everyone can live their dreams. We're doing jokes, dick jokes in the back. There's human trafficking in the front. And you see the girls there. There's every size girl. If you ever wanted to live your dream as a comedian or a dancer, this is the place. Because sometimes they think the comedians and the dancers, that's how rough looking. Then the dancers come there, though, and they all have these wild, like superheroes. They have these outfits, these costumes that they spent money on. But some of them are built like us. Like they look like us, but they have these wild costumes, and they have regulars that come and see them.
I got tipped the last time I was there.
Yeah,
somebody stuffed a bunch of ones in my cleavage.
There you go. It changes all the time. Remember, you come there one day, they have stripper cages in the comedy room. Then they're gone. Then there's a pool table. Then there's a giant TV. Then there's cornhole. Like it changed every.
So
week.
wait a minute. It's still going on?
Still going on every Thursday.
Okay.
Come on down.
I will. I wrote to Sharon too. Because I don't like just showing up and expecting.
No, but we book everybody. Listen, I want everyone to live their dream. I've never said no to anyone. Absolutely, you want to?
You book everyone. That sounds that's my kind of show, Rich.
Everybody, I want everybody to have a chance to live their dream. If you want to do stand-up comedy, come here.
I've been running through all my material for the filthiest, dirtiest, jokes that I think would be entertaining. And I realized that's really my entire set.
That's everybody's set.
I just have to say fuck and come a little bit more. That's all.
I've done that. I go, wow, that must have been a great tape. And then I get the tape and I go, how many times did I say F in that? Was that 72 in that one? Like, can I not say the words anymore? I get carried away with that too. It's rough. It's
once you get down that rabbit hole, it's hard to come back.
It's your crutch. You know what I mean? It's the crutch word.
Yeah. You mean the crotch word?
The crouch word, yeah. But anyway. I do love the stripper bar. I love the stripper bar. My buddy owns it, and I love it when I go there. I go, this is the greatest thing ever. And he sits in the back. He can't come out. It's a cash business, and he can't trust anyone. So he's watching all the monitors, and he's like, no, there's rats everywhere. Rats everywhere I have to deal with. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. Remember we were in high school, we would kill to have a play. You own it now. I love it. He's like, get out of here, stop it. This place is terrible. You know, he's like having a heart attack. The guy never partied. In high school, he never did drugs, nothing like that. Was pretty straight-laced, drank a little. He always was built like those guys from the Jersey Shore. Now you see him, he looks run over. He's got a bloodshot eye. He gained about 60 pounds. He's got to deal with strippers every day. And I think it'd be a dream, but he's like, yeah, I can't trust anyone here. And he's right. There's always, you know, it's not even a nice stripper bar. It's like one of those really, right? It's like really shady, shitty shit going on, you know?
Yeah.
That makes it better. Because I like those ones better. Like my friend Vinny K says, I don't want to know what the best go-go bar around is. I want to know the shittiest one.
Yeah.
The one where you're going to have fun and get lucky and buy drugs. You know? But that's the one, where we go. Club Flamingo, strategically placed between a Wendy's and a car wash across from World Video, because people are still getting their porn on video for some wild. But it's good, though. We had 300 comics come through there. A little over 300 comics during the whole pandemic have come through there. People like Sick Vic to Mike Marino stopped by to hang out one night. To,
Sick Vic. I haven't seen
Vic.
Sick Vic in a long. And you know something? You're making me think of my early days in comedy when I saw comics and I thought, are these people comedians? But
yeah, he's scary.
Yeah.
He is. He's been doing it a long time. Listen, he scares me the most because you know he's on the spectrum, but he's not smiling. Like autistic people are usually always smiling. He's not smiling, and you go, all right, this guy's going to kill us all. So he's not on the list of comics to perform. You put him up first, I tell him. Put that guy up first, let him go, and then he'll usually leave. But do not insult him. Make sure he goes up first. Let him go. Boom. See you later. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
I overheard a lot of people at many of the shows I perform. They'll talk before about me, and they'll say, "Just give them the light at 2. No matter what, give them the light at 2."
We haven't had much trouble there at this place. We've all coexisted. Like in the beginning, we were sharing a tent with the strippers. So, and they hate, like sometimes I'd show them up there at 7:00 and they would all be drunk and coked out of their minds already. And they'd be heckling us and yelling. They hated us. They hated that we were there. Now we had a pretty, you know, we had like a peace treaty and they were all right with us because we'd go inside and tip them afterwards and hang out with them and stuff like that. But the only trouble we ever had there was the comics. I get a call from the owner one night. Hey man, there's a problem here. And I go, with the comedy? He's like, yeah, the comics are attacking each other. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're fighting under the tent, some of the comics. And that was like the only problem.
What was the backstory of that without revealing names?
It all goes back to the open mic wars of like 3 or 4 years ago. They were two people that had open mics started arguing and they had groups
over what night their open mic was. And
yes, and you started one down the block now, and I was the original guy, and now you guys used to come here, and now you started your own. And I'm like, you guys are killing each other over open mics. You know what I mean? Like, calm down. There's enough for everybody.
Really?
There's too much for everybody.
Yes.
No.
Listen, we need a virus that kills every third comedian. That's the only way we're gonna make it through this. Yeah.
Thank you, Rich,
God.
thank you for saying
God.
it. Thank you for. I'd been plotting and planning, and I'm like, no, that's evil. That's wrong. That's wrong.
The open micer pandemic.
But you know, the problem is people, and I understand very well. So my friends that would come to support me early on, they'd come to the showcases or open mics or whatever it was. And they're like, oh my God, if this is comedy, okay, Doug, good luck. Yeah. But you know something, I've been preparing mentally for my open mic set. And if I ever do an open mic again, I'm like all ready for it. Actually, I'm probably going to run out of time, but it's all going to be like poop and diarrhea. And I'm
make sure you do it in a restaurant. They love that humor in a restaurant. You know?
Yeah, when they're eating.
Right. Or,
Mhm.
or tell them in a bar how you're sober. I love doing that one. And the owner's like, I'm trying to sell drinks here, and you're trying to sell everybody on the fact that you're sober. And I'm like, okay. Do you really think I'm sober, dude? Look at me. You know what I mean? I think I peed myself like 20 minutes ago, you know?
Oh no.
Yeah. I have all the I like all the vices except gambling. I never was a gambler because you need money for that. But drugs
See
and
now that
alcohol,
You
That's
actually
been my
don't.
that's been my vice all these years. I don't drink, I never did drugs. But gambling, you put me in a casino, I'm gone.
yeah, my father was like that. I was with him in Atlantic City, and he's showing me. He goes, "Come on, I'll show you how to gamble." And I'm walking around with him, and he's showing me, and he's like, "Here's some more money." I go, "I'm good." He's like, "You're good." I go, "Yeah, I'm not really much for gambling." He goes, "Really? Your mother's like a degenerate with this." I go, "Yeah, no." I go, "Do you mind if I just hang out and you're getting free drinks, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Can I have the free drinks?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I just watch him gamble. God rest
Uh-huh.
his soul. And I would suck up all the booze I could. I'm like, I'm good. I've been gambling on life for 57 years and losing. I know my abilities. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna buy a freaking ticket or play a roulette or anything. I know my life sucks. You know what I mean?
Anyway, listen,
Uh-huh.
gambling, it can be a problem. And if you don't have money and you're gambling and hoping this is going to be your weekend, I have a really close friend, Rich, who called me up like 2:30 in the morning, crying. Doug, I'm gambling. I I need $17. What? It's 2 in the morning. Doug, I need $17. Tom, what are you talking about? I I bet Joey bag of donuts. I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
lose my cat.
Yeah. I get the calls. I would get the calls from my friends. Like I had to try it one time. I had to call my friends. My car got towed in the city, so it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm trying to get. I forgot how much money, a couple of $100, and everyone's like, "Go to bed, you crackhead!" Like nobody believed me. They're like, "Go back to bed."
They must have known you.
Yeah, exactly. Like go away. You're not getting it from me. You woke me up, you bastard.
So what happened, Rich?
He said,
wound
"Ma,
up
you
get-
just got to give me the money."
I wound, I wound up getting the money from an ex girl that I used to know, and I got the car back. But I had it towed like 3 times in the city when I first started doing comedy. It's a nightmare. It's not like being drunk, wasted. You're happy you finally found where you had your car parked. It's like, oh my god, it's gone. It's gone. And
What
then
you
find out
needed,
it's at the.
what you
Oh
needed,
man.
what you needed, Rich, was a bitch comedy driver like I was for like a
I
year.
I had one. I had one for a
The
while.
only
But
thing I didn't have to do for that guy was suck him off. Thank God.
well,
But I
I
got
had Mad Dog. Mad Dog
Yeah.
used to travel with me all the time.
so listen, when you were, did he drive or did you?
No, he used to drive. He would open for me all over the place. He doesn't drink or anything. So I don't know how he could. He's sober because he's an ex-heroin addict, an ex-junkie, used to drink. I'm in the car next to him, shit-faced out of my mind, beers in every pocket, drinking, get out of his car to smoke weed. God bless that guy. I don't know how he stayed sober for all those years we worked together.
You know, I did not know about that. I give him a lot of props for getting over that. That's a
Yeah, it's
serious
amazing.
addiction.
But
He
Anyway,
actually got
if
he
he
got
got pulled
disbarred.
over, he can represent himself in court.
Right. He got disbarred. He wound
Did
up
he?
going and becoming a per diem lawyer overnights in the city. Like he worked his way back from that guy has been to hell and back. That's why he's a deviant that he is. But it's in
you
Brazil
reminded
right now.
me though, you reminded me of one of my favorite comedy stories. The sociopath, you know who I'm talking about.
Of course.
The sociopath Watson was running late for a gig in New York, and I was driving him. And at this point, I was about a year and a half being his bitch, thinking something is going to happen. We
Right.
did a radio show together, and it could have gone somewhere if somebody wasn't a sociopath. So he's running late, and I'm driving in my then beautiful 99 manual E46 328i, and me and the car were one. We were mated together. and I'm very familiar with driving in Manhattan. Watson is a very nervous passenger. So I drove my best New York City driving, and I dialed it up, and he's, we're within a foot of a car, and he's like looking. I swear to God, there were like a number of times he'd like turn to the look and say black guy. And I'm like, you fucking think these people can't read you? Shut your mouth. But I scared the shit out of him.
Right.
No, in Manhattan, you have to be as crazy as the cab drivers to survive.
No, what you have to do is go with the flow, Tom. You need to be easy about it. And now it's 25 miles an hour in the city. You can't go too far wrong. It's 25 miles everywhere.
You can't have such. Every time I have a car or a vehicle, it's questionable. That's what you need. You need a questionable vehicle where you're coming at somebody and they go, this guy might not stop. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have your car look
the
like
secret
that.
is you cut in front of a nicer car than you. That's it.
Right. And you go, you let them know. I might
wait for the Mercedes. Yeah.
Right. Mine's got little dings on it, a cracked windshield. There's a mirror hanging off. People see me come flying out and they go, this guy's not going to stop. You know what I mean?
Oh, and the other thing I'll do, I will make a point of when they're looking over, look over somewhere else. So like, I know they're there, but I'm looking like, and it scares. The other thing I learned when I was driving in Italy, when you're in the left lane, they drive on the same side of the road. When you're in the left lane on the autostrada and you want to pass, you put your left turn signal on to indicate you're passing for the cars in front of you. So in Italy, on the autostrada, at whatever speed they're going, these people will, first of all, they're really low powered cars. So they'll pull up at, 70, 80 miles an hour to within 5 feet of the car in front of them, pull out, and then like zip back in 5 feet in front of the car. So when I got back to the States, I had been in Italy, I don't know, it was a long trip, a few weeks maybe. And I was on like the turnpike with the concrete divider. I'm in the left lane and somebody was on my tail. And just out of habit, I put on my left turn signal. This guy backed. He's like, where's he? There's a concrete divider. Where's this guy going left? And I realized for years, when people were on my tail on the turnpike or parkway, I'd put on my left turn signal and they'd back off immediately.
Wait, that was you?
That was me, Tom.
What's driving in Italy like? The road rage there. I see the Italians in New Jersey, how they act. What's that like in Italy?
You know something? I've driven a manual my entire life. So, and when we rented a car there, it was a nice car. I drove in Rome. The only problem with Rome was we drove by our hotel that was invisible. Basically, it was a single door, like 4 times. My ex is yelling at me. We ended up driving through a pedestrian-only area in Rome. We got a ticket. She got a ticket for it later.
There you go. Yeah, I'll be back.
No, I got to get, sure. We rented a Volvo one time. I was going over 100 miles an hour on the autostrada. And nice. Guys talk with, they have my BMW and they put an extra turbo on the turbo. And they're like, my car is 325 horses. There are these guys building it up to 600, 700, 800 horsepower, like fucking morons. Anyway, we got a lot of tickets on the autostrada. But the rule in Italy, and in Rome in particular, if there is a space, someone will fill it. So it might as well be you. That's the rule. If you ever have the honor and the fun, that's the rule.
Sounds like my family reunion on a couch.
We have a rule at my family. It's called, it's your fault. Dad.
So were you both embarrassed by your parents as kids?
My father was terrifying. Everybody in my neighborhood was terrified of my father.
So did you get respect because of that? They thought
no, they were, some of them felt bad for me. The parents are like, oh, now we know why he's so screwed up. But my father was a giant. They used to call him Mr. Big. Everyone in the neighborhood would call him Mr. Big. It's Mr. Big. Big's bugging. When he starts flipping out, they're like, Big's bugging, run. He was tough, man. He was a tough, no nonsense guy.
The kids in my neighborhood, when we went camping with them, my nickname was Mr. Safety Man.
I could see that.
Yeah.
There
Now,
was no
when I,
camping. With my father, there's no shenanigans. Nobody was ever allowed to sleep over. Nobody, like, there was not like, he was strict as hell. He had 5 kids at the house. He don't want nobody at the house. Get the fuck out of here! Like, just like, no nonsense. He didn't care about hurting feelings. He let you know, get out of here, just right to your face. Like, just, he threw fists at me in front of like, beat the hell out of me in front of the whole neighborhood. I mean, several times, chased me down the block. I would try to outrun him, but
my father was in a perennial bad mood my whole growing up. And whenever I'd have a friend come over to play, he'd make them weed around the pool. or do something stupid like sweep the pebbles out of the street. I couldn't buy a friend after a while.
Yeah. No, nobody was. They were afraid to come by my house. I'd be like, "Come on over." They're like, "No way. We know your father said nobody over." I'm like, "No, it's okay. Come on over." Then he would come home, and I'd have people jumping out the window and shit. Like, it was crazy, crazy. But he would beat me up in front of everybody too, and he had no problems throwing them out a window, shit like that. He didn't give a shit. He'll put his hands on them too. Back then.
Well, my father, for some reason, whenever he came home and we saw that he was wearing a brown suit, every time he was wearing a brown suit, he was in the worst mood ever.
Really?
So we used to look out for my brother and I out the window. And if he came out of the car and we see the brown, we would run. My brother would hide in the closet. I'd go hide in the other bedroom. It was crazy.
I remember the only time I remember really being embarrassed by my father, 2 times. One was, we went to Yankee Stadium, I think, to see a game, and it was like the 7th inning, and I guess the score, I didn't understand baseball, but the score was such that people were leaving. And my father goes, "Come on, let's move down." And we took seats that were not ours, and that embarrassed me. I don't know how old I was.
That embarrassed you? My father had a uniform because he was always in a fire department. He was like a deputy chief, then the second in command, and he would have to come to school when I got in trouble. And he would come in the uniform, or he would drive me to school in the uniform. People would see me get out of the car and think I was a narc, like the
Dad, not the ladder again. Can't we just take the truck?
No, he had the fire car, so they all thought I was a narc. But he would come in there like that. But I'm telling you, my father didn't care if I was in a crowd of people and he came looking for me. He would kick my ass in front of that crowd of people. Came to the police station to get me out. Beat the hell out of me in front of the cops inside the police station. He was a maniac.
Can I just say, I feel bad for both of you. My life wasn't near. The other thing my father did that embarrassed me was after a 6 or 7 week long trip to Israel I took when I was 17 or 18. We get back from the airport and I'm with my newfound friends, and my father goes, "Hang on, I want to take a photograph," and he made me pose, and that embarrassed me.
My whipped me with a fishing rod in front of my friends one day. Forgot what I wanted to go fishing, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do or something. And he called me on it, and he caught me lying. And he actually whipped me with the fishing rod. My friends were terrified.
Dad, the hook is in my eye. Shut up, you pussy.
Shut up. Yes.
Pull it out.
Yeah.
Now, my mother used to embarrass the hell out of me. She used to have this 1968 Dodge Polara that she used to come pick me up at school in. And it had those bench seats that you can fit like 25 kids in the back seat. So, of course, all my friends knew that if my mother was coming to pick me up, they had a ride home. So everybody would like climb into the car, and my mother would, she'd be good about driving them home, but she insisted on preaching to my Jewish friends and trying to convert them to Catholicism.
That's funny. I didn't have any Jewish friends.
Tom? What were her
She was a church lady. She was a Eucharistic minister, a CCD teacher.
Do a role play. Pretend I'm your Jewish friend. Try to convert.
Nah, I've blocked that out of my mind. Trust me.
Do you guys like presents for Christmas?
Rich, we got 8 presents.
Yeah, that's true too. But I didn't know any Jewish people growing up.
We would get one kind of mediocre present and then crappy presents. But
I didn't know no Jewish people where I grew up.
One year, my crappy present was a key to the house. I don't know if I was.
That's funny,
but it meant a lot to me.
Now,
Really?
when I turned 17, I got a spare set of keys to the Dodge Polara. That was my first car. So my mother and I would share it. So she'd go across the street from my high school at the A&P. She'd be inside the store shopping. I'd come out of school, see the car, move it to the other side of the parking lot. My mother'd come out with her shopping cart, thinking
That's
that
funny.
somebody. She called the cops so many times that somebody stole the car. She
That's
called my
funny.
father at work. Hello, Vic. They did it again. What are you talking? They stole the car. My father. What the hell's going? Why did?
Who wants that car anyway? What's going on
Yeah,
here?
Exactly.
Oh, goddamn Gentiles. That's funny. I
Yeah.
didn't grow up around any Jewish people. I met one girl that I dated who was Jewish when I went up to Pennsylvania, Liz Glass. She was beautiful. And then the next Jewish guy, the first Jewish person I met was my partner dispatching, who was one of my, loved the guy. We were like best friends ever. And I'm like, hey, I finally met a Jewish. Then I got into comedy and everybody's Jewish. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know.
Yeah.
I did one show and and I wanted my friends on, and I'm realizing how many of them were Jewish. And I'm like, I've got to be anti-Semitic to run a decent comedy show. You don't,
Good
another,
luck.
you hear the audience, another Jew.
You're right. Yeah.
How many old, but it's true of any comedy show. You've got to, you started talking about coordinating shows and who you put up first. And, I've been on so many shows, and I know that the people that think about it really put on a lot better show. They think this guy is high energy, they're low energy.
Oh yeah.
Woman,
I've been doing it for so long.
It's whatever. Let's not do it all. I was on a show, a guy producing it from Canada. I didn't know. It was called The Bro Show. Me and 3 other comics. It turned out to be 2 other comics because one didn't end up making it. Anyway, just there's so many. You can't find somebody other than a white male comic.
Well, I would have different shows. Like I have a show that's girl powered comedy that I produce. It's all females. I have that
Right.
show. Then I had one. What was it? Foreign exchange laughs or whatever it was, and that was like different people from all different countries. But you have to know who's low energy. Like at the stripper bar, there's people there. There's a lot going on. You got to space that out, because I've been at some clubs where like 4 or 5 comics in a row. Like if they don't hit by then, pretty much the show's over.
Yeah.
So you got to throw, this guy's high end, this guy does crowd work. All right, they're starting to riot. Throw the girl with the big boobs up, shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, or the guy with the guitar.
Or the guy with the big boobs.
Right. Like big boobs or a guitar act. See the comp.
Oh, you know what? This is why I don't get booked, because nobody's ever thinking, what we need? We need an old Jew who can't stand up straight.
They got him. They got him. I've been to those shows, but you gotta, you try to space it out. Like the other night, the first 4 comics went up, and plus where I do comedy at, some of the places I have are so unconventional. Even if you're doing comedy for a while, you're just like, what the hell is this? Like you got strippers
I
walking
love
by.
shows like that.
I
I love shows where I'm confused.
Yeah. It's like
Me
a
too.
Fellini film.
Right? Isn't it crazy?
I went to a competition. Tom was in it, and one of the comics on the show, he did floor humping, was one part of his act, and the other part of his act, I don't know what he did, but it was a lot of Mark Wahlberg quotes. And he did that.
Like that. Yeah.
He did that for about 5 minutes, and people were like astounded, and I'm like laughing harder and harder inside, because I didn't want to be the only one laughing. I felt embarrassed.
Do you guys
look at me like this? But I went up to him and I said, "I compliment you on your commitment."
Yeah. Now get the hell out of here. No, actually, did you ever see? Do you guys know who Eric Andre is? He just did a movie, Bad Trip. He's a comic. He had his own show on Swim Network. When I started 20 years ago, we were doing Hamburger Harry's in the city, and there were a lot of people that went through that made it. Not me, but other people. But this guy was so off the wall, and he had this afro, and he was so intelligent though. But he looked kind of ghetto. but he was so zany. I said, this guy's brilliant. I go, this guy's brilliant, but no one here gets it because no one can understand what he's like. I just knew he was brilliant. And then all of a sudden, many, many years later, my sister, who's older than me, is like, I like to watch this show on the Swim Network. And I'm like, what's the Swim channel? How do you know this? You're too old for this. And it was the Eric Andre show. And I'm like, oh my God, I know that guy. I know who he is. And he's just a maniac. He's just off the wall zany. And, people didn't get it. When they finally did, he's, like, this guy's fucking brilliant, So you never know. Floor humping could lead to something. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
like to us, it's true. Floor humping. To somebody else, it's brilliance.
Well, you know what it is? So many young guys, they do their dick jokes, and they're like carbon copies of each other. You need to be different than the other comics.
Yes, absolutely.
Uniqueness. I mean,
except in my case, right, Tom?
Well, yes, comics used to always ask. They would always go. I used to open for Buddy Flip for years, and we'd be traveling around, and comics would always ask Buddy. They would go, How can I get famous? He goes, you want to get famous? Shoot the president. If you're in comedy to get famous, you're in a wrong, you're here to enjoy yourself. Like, shoot the president, you'll be famous.
Listen, you bring up Buddy Flip. I love Buddy Flip.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
And I remember the first time I saw him, I'm like, he's taking orders in a comedy club, and then he just hops up on stage, and he was the funniest comic on the show. And I did not know. For him, yeah. I did not know who he was, and I've learned he's been on our show. He's great,
brilliant. I opened for him for years and never saw it not go well. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I was in places with him where it went so bad for me, I had to go wait in the car for him. That's how bad it went. It was so bad. One time I was out of college with him, and he's up there doing something. I go to get a beer in the back, and there's a young, hot, dumb chick in the back. And I go, wow, this guy's really good. She goes, yeah, he's a lot better than the other guy that was up there before. That guy sucked. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? You know I'm the only other adult in this. Like, are you kidding me? I've never saw it not go well from a 14-year-old Syrian kid's birthday party to like a college to like, you name it. It never not went well. He always did well. I never saw anything like it. I don't know if it's because of the guitar, but he had different speeds. If it wasn't working, he went to the guitar, but he had such well-written jokes, and he was so non-threatening, and he was so funny and clean at the same time. You're just like, this guy's brilliant.
He's been on our show, and he mentioned that Ohio is a great world for him, and he'd be king in that world.
He is. He was working for me a lot. I get a lot of stuff in the Pittsburgh area too. So he was running those shows for me. And I set up these crews in different areas. Like I had a crew of guys in Pittsburgh that I would put together. They didn't know each other. And I introduced them, and then they were running my stuff out there. And then I ran out of guys. So then Buddy went there, and then I hooked him up with a crew of guys. And I have a crew of guys in Florida that work for me too. So I try to make these little groups of people.
Good idea. And listen, shout out for Buddy.
Buddy's awesome.
Shout out for Buddy. He's got a new Facebook page called the Snarky Democrat 2. And he is
very political.
The group very snarky. And if you are a snarky Democrat, you will enjoy it.
If you are a Trump fan, you don't want to debate him or get in any. He hates Trump.
No, if you're a Trump fan, please do come to Snarky Democrat. Post your honest views.
Now, Rich, you mentioned having crews in different geographic areas. You know who does that and very well is Eddie Gallagher. You mentioned Eddie.
I tried to get in. I did. What is that? Cricket comedy?
Cricket, yeah.
I sent him a message and he never got back to me. That's the one thing in comedy. I deal with a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. One thing I hate is when you contact somebody, at least tell me no. Let me know you got that really turns my stomach. I reached out to him and he just never got. And I said, hey, see what you're doing. I'd love to work for you one day. Here's my website and everything. And he didn't even have the courtesy to get back to me. And I'm like, Comedy on the Creek got back to me.
He recently had COVID, so I don't know, not to make excuses for him.
But I get that irks me like nothing else. I've been in this for 20 years. Everybody that ever reached out to me, I've always gotten back to them. You know,
Right,
no matter
right.
what, I you know, just out of
And
courtesy.
I'll just
you
say,
know,
listen, out of respect for Eddie, I will tell him that I sent him a link of your videos, Rich, and your bio. And I'm booked next Tuesday.
Good,
Well,
good.
I'm doing a show for him on Friday, so I'll mention you to
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Use
Buddy
the words
Harris reached
F
out to
you.
him.
Nah, I don't get like, but Buddy Harris reached out to him for me. I'm just looking to work, man. I'm the type of guy, like Tom said, I'm used to I'd go to the city on a Saturday. I do 4 shows, you know, I'd
Yeah.
host 3 of them, do an early show. Like I like to, you know, I got a couple of those nights coming up where I'm double booked and I you know, be back to the city and stuff. I like to get up every night. Every night I like
Rich,
to be up. I figure I'm
listen.
a comic.
Ever since I've seen you, I've been very impressed with your comedy. And can I
Thank
just
you.
mention this to you? You suck at quitting
I
comedy.
know. My I wish I could quit. My grandfather was a comedian, so I grew up around it. He used to do his act all the time, and you know, I try not. I don't know what else.
Have you
to do
been?
with
Have you
myself.
been? So I've been using his act.
I wish his was an Italian, but he was hilarious. He was hilarious. He would play his nose as an instrument. He did soft shoe. He had jokes, one-liners, songs.
Excuse
My friends,
me. Wasn't he stealing Jewish material?
I
Played his
couldn't
nose.
understand half of it, but
The Jews
he
play their nose, Rich.
I mean, he had it down. My friends would think he would come to my parties, and my friends would go, "Where did you get this guy? Did you rent him?" I go, "That's my great." We used to call him Bozzy the Gold because we got him to smoke weed.
Bozzy
We
the
told
Gold.
him it was Bozzy the Gold, and he goes, "What are you doing? What's that?" I go, "It's Bozzy the Gold because that's what Italians put in the soup." And he goes, "Bozzy the Gold. What do you do with the Boston to go?" I go, "This Boston to go? You smoke it." He goes, "What do you mean you're smoking the Boston to go?" So we got him to start. My mother used to say, "Stop getting your grandfather high." And I'm like, "Hi, he's 75 years old. If he wants to smoke weed, let him."
He's got glaucoma.
So,
Yeah.
So listen, you reminded me. My dad is now, at the time he was like 96, suffering in horrible pain. He died at 96. So at one point we got him a medical marijuana prescription. And because I wasn't listed as his whatever liaison, I wasn't allowed to go into the shop with him. He got some weed. So I was going to spend a weekend with my girlfriend. And he's, fully aware and can get around and do all that kind of stuff. And I made him food. I rolled him a joint.
Nice. What a great
He'd tried a couple hits of it, and he's like doing an Irish jig in the living room. I'm like, "Dad, you're Jewish. What are you doing?" Rich. It was like 2 hits and it killed his pain. He was like, and I'm like,
nice.
Wow, I can go away now for a weekend. So I rolled him a joint. I go, "Dad, take 2 puffs of it, let it sit, in a few hours. If you want to take another couple puffs, go ahead.
And get pizza while you're at it."
I get back the next day, and at some point he tells me he smoked the whole thing. 96 years old. And it was good.
Good for him.
It was good weed. No, it wasn't good for him. He never smoked again. It freaked him out.
Because when you're 96 years
he
old,
was like tripping. Yeah.
You can't let that joint sit for the next day. There might not be a next day when you're 90 something.
True.
That was another way to look. He lived for years longer, but
Doug came home and there were 17 empty pizza boxes in the living room.
I had to get him hooked on Coke because he was gaining weight too much.
If only, Tom, that I didn't tell you. It was opened half-empty cans of borscht and gefilte fish, and it stained the carpet.
There you go.
Matzah everywhere.
Yeah. That's it. Go. Locks. There was locks on the door, locks on the floor, locks a lots. Lots of locks.
So listen, guys, I don't want to be rude because this has been a great show and the time is.
Thank you for having me.
But we've gone like way beyond, and I've got to let this video end and process it in time to get it uploaded. So
could I plug 2 things?
No,
yes, absolutely.
No.
Okay.
No.
I have a podcast called No Geniuses from New Jersey. That's the podcast I'm on. It's me and Liam Whalen, because we are not geniuses, but there are a lot of geniuses from New Jersey, like the girl who just won for Best Picture, and she's from Montclair. She wrote that Nomad. So
Wow.
you know, I'm on that. And richcaruccicomedy.com is my site because I got a lot of shows coming up. I'm going to be at Governor's in Long Island. I'm at the Flamingo every Thursday night in South Hackensack. The Flamingo out back under the big top with the strippers and comedy. Bring the whole family, the kids, and everybody's welcome.
Hey, let me know if you need a ride to Governors. I've been trying to get my foot in the door.
I'm going with. I'm opening for what's his name? Mike Dillon has a show there, so
Yeah.
I'm doing the little room. But yeah, I forgot what day it is. But if you want to come along, absolutely.
And
All right.
if you ever want to ride in a BMW 340i X Drive,
Well, I feel like you're trying to talk me into selling crack for you. This car could be yours someday if you work it right. But you guys got to come to the stripper bar. You got to come to the stripper bar, Doug.
Rich, I will tell you, one of my favorite comedy shows was called Pain or Pain, where I'd either get, based on an audience, I'd either get paid or a dominatrix would beat me. And my girlfriend is like, why would you do a show where you'd get beat? I'm like, honey, don't worry. I know the dominatrix. It didn't make it. It's true, but it turned out to be a different dominatrix. But I didn't get her. I didn't get beaten. I got paid.
So, Rich, thanks for coming on the show. You're always a great guest. And on behalf of J. Irwin Productions, I want to sign out. Thanks for tuning in to Funny Talk with Mangelli and Max. I'm Tom Mangelli, and this is Doug Max.
And
thanks, guys.
And that's Rich Carucci, the Steamroller of comedy.
Steamroller of comedy.
Yes.
So, thanks, guys.
Next time,
it's been wonderful. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Take care.
Peace.